set yourself up for success. Check out the pool schedule. Number one, check out multiple pool schedules in your area. Just don't look at one. Have a few options that you can go to. Pack your bag. Get everything ready the night before. Put the bag in your car even and just leave it there. So if you think you may have time after work, you already have your bag with you. Put in goggles, swim cap, and all your pool toys. But also, you want to put in some fuel. So if you don't have, you miss an afternoon snack, you miss morning breakfast, you have something, a banana, a bar or a gel, just something that you can snack on. Always have that ready in your bag, and always have a workout ready. Just write something down on a piece of paper and stick it in your bag so that you always have a purpose when you go to the pool. If you don't have a workout and you're just floating around, there's no purpose. You're really not getting much done. You're not making any advancement in the pool. So really have a purpose. That's important.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Yogi Triathlete podcast. I'm Jess, your host, and I'm also the mindset coach for Yogi Triathlete. I'm finding great purpose in assisting high performers in training their minds. And I am so incredibly fulfilled to be doing what I believe is why I came here to this earth. And in this episode, I'm sharing the mic with Coach BJ. So Beach, I know I ask you this all the time, but I want you to say it to the world. As head coach of Team Yogi Triathlete, are you like also doing what you love every day?
Every day, every single day. This is what I love. Every single day, I'm doing what I love. I'm swimming, I'm biking, I'm running, I'm coaching, I'm having conversations, I'm eating amazing food, and all in Southern California. I mean, that's everything.
What was the scariest thing you had to experience in order to be able to be living what you love right now?
I mean, quitting my job, my corporate job. That was big step. Yeah.
And letting go. Like I think you let go of so much in that experience because you let go of this social programming that you're the man and you need to provide.
That was part of it. Yeah. Also,
I mean, you do need to provide.
I do need to provide. Thank you. But having that attachment to a company that you had been at for 20 years and
could have stayed at.
It could have stayed at, right?
Yeah.
I think this is what a lot of people come up against is that story.
Yeah.
And it's a false story. It's you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And the company owes you nothing. Guys, it's a business. They pay you for a service, you produce a service.
I think one of the kind of the behind the scenes things that not a lot of people know is you were less than 2 years away from being 100% vested in your stock, which would have meant, hundreds of thousands of more dollars. And we left and we walked away from that.
Twice.
From that money.
Twice.
Yeah, we did it twice because we worked at that company before we moved to Boulder. We are not strangers to risk. All right. Well, before we dive in, I want to mention that if you haven't listened to our podcast with Gabby and Rusty, then definitely check it out. Feedback is pouring in. It's been coming up a lot in my sessions with my athletes. And apparently this episode is leaving a mark in some people and bringing awareness. It's really just bringing awareness to how we're navigating this life. So I have another question for you, Beach. Like, what did that conversation leave you with Gabby and Rusty?
First and foremost, we're not alone in this risk-taking venture in our lives. Like there's people who are out there doing it and doing it bigger and doing it together. So we're not the only ones who came up against brick walls and found a way to get around it. And also the financial piece of things. I think that was really a big hit in that podcast was that when you asked them about the money, they just didn't know how it came, but it came. So again, just stepping up and following what feels right. And those two are doing exactly what feels right, and it shows.
Oh my gosh, it just made me want to live more consciously and more minimally and just more mindfully, just up-leveling and never forgetting that there's no ceiling that we're going to hit with our up levels. Like we can just keep going. We can just be better humans all the time.
All the time. And
they're so freaking
They're bouncing
cool.
off each other, so they're up-leveling each other, and that's what I feel you and I do, coming from different... Because they in the podcast, they show their strengths and opportunities, and we've got similar stuff. And it's so great to have that person right there across the microphone, from the microphone to call you on your stuff.
The mirror in front of you all the time. All right. Well, as we approach the start of the official race season, at least the time of year when most people will be racing, we thought it would be cool to start breaking down some of the disciplines. So today we're going to dive into swimming for both triathlon and for runners. If you know us, then you know that we love swimming for our runners, especially those crazy ass ultra runners. So let's just start here, Coach. Why is swimming so helpful for runners?
Well, first and foremost, it allows for cross-training. So there's no impact on the body. So running's a really hard, it's a hard force on your body to continually log miles and time, and to not vary that movement pattern in any other way. You're just waiting for that overuse injury, as Tommy Ribs talks about, the overuse injury to show up. So first off, it's non-weight bearing, so you're still getting motion in the body. Second, it's compression, right? The water in a pool is in a confined area, so it's actually like compression for your legs. Swimming doesn't like running, but running loves swimming.
Yes, you got to let go. Like if
So what does that mean? Because people are like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So when you're a runner and you add swimming to your program, your running is going to increase. Your ability to be durable, your ability to not have as many niggles in your body, your ability to recover faster. If we switch the hourglass, like turn the hourglass over, swimming, if you're swimming and focusing on being a swimmer, then the more running you add, it's going to affect your progress in the pool. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean, obviously, triathletes are doing it, right? They're getting better. So it's the combination of things. So if you're going to go out and you have a swim and a run and you're trying to get better at swimming, do the swim first, run second. Now, if swimming is a complementary activity to your running, run first, swim second.
Oh, that's a really good insight.
Yeah.
Good coach.
Yeah. Well, I trial and error.
I mean, I've heard that so many times, like running loves swimming, but swimming doesn't necessarily love running. And that's not like, if you looked at that literally, you would say, well, then triathlon doesn't make any sense. But that's not really what you're talking about. What you're talking about is like day-to-day workouts. Like what is your priority
What is
today?
the focus?
Yeah. Or your day-to-day workouts, but also maybe you're in a swim block because you're trying to get faster swimming. And then you would, your runs would be secondary to that. Your A workout for the day would be your swim.
Right.
Yeah.
So do that first.
Okay, cool. I like that. That's great advice. Okay. So let's start with our first question here. Best drills and a bread and vegan butter type set. I love that. This is from Grilla, which she told us what that means. Now I can't remember. Do you remember?
Right. No, I can't remember.
It's some kind of like monster. So I'm assuming we're talking about triathlon here. So triathlon.
Yeah, let's
swimming.
make that distinction right now.
Okay.
We're talking about triathlon swimming. I'm not talking about pool swimming. And I'll share a story with you all in a moment, but let's answer this question first.
I look forward to that, BJ.
So the best drills. So to me, in my 15-year lifespan becoming a swimmer, I have definitely dipped my toes into everything. So total immersion, Eni Jones. I had Craig Howie as my coach. I've done a lot of research and used a lot of things on myself to see what worked best. So I don't think there's any one best drill, right? I think there's best drills for your unique situation. So what are you trying to work on? And also, let's clarify what drills are. I think we talked about this with Jerry when he was on the podcast. Traditionally, in my mind, drills were like, high elbow, fingertip drag, catch-up drill, 6 strokes and glide, one arm drill, right? Those in the past have been what I call drills. But I've shifted my focus because I really grasp the concept of this is triathlon swimming, not pool swimming. So in triathlon swimming, triathletes are time starved. They don't have a lot of time, right? They're trying to fit a lot in, 3 sports and plus all the complementary stuff on top of that. So their time is limited. So to go into a pool and practice high elbow and fingertip drag and 6 kick and glide, like to me, that's not a good use of time. What's better use of your time if you're getting to the pool once, maybe twice a week, is to swim. Exactly what you're going to do on race day. So the drills that I like, and they're adapted from Jerry Rodriguez' Tower 26 swim program. It's swimming with that snorkel, that front snorkel. It's the finny snorkel, goes right up the front of your forehead and up and out of the water. You put the Eenie buoy in between your legs, and you tie a band around your feet. Pretty much just pulling. Your head's not moving. You're staring directly down at the bottom of the pool. Your arms can stay wide, and your body can stay super long and taut and strong. And that's pretty important in swimming.
And so during that as a drill, what are you focusing on? Obviously, it's all about pulling, but what are you focusing on? Give her some pointers of a couple of things that you're focusing on.
Well, here's the great thing about adding all those tools. And someone may say, that's a lot of stuff to put on. But what it's doing is removing a lot of things. It's removing your need to breathe and turn your head, which shifts the body into different positions. It's removing your kick. You don't have to worry about your kick. You don't have to worry about your legs separating. All you need to really worry about is your hand entry wide and your hand and your other hand coming in wide. So I like to have the keys of reach for the corners of the pool. Because when you reach for the corners of the pool, if you take video of yourself, most likely your arms are going to be perfect.
Dead on, yeah.
They're going to be dead on. We don't want to cross over that black center line. And that's, if you take video of yourself now without all those tools on, it would be a pretty safe bet that a lot of you do cross over that center line at some point. And that creates a fishtail, a fish-like motion, which we're not fish. We don't swim like fish. We need to be long and taut and pull that water.
So wide arms, what about finishing the stroke? Is that an important piece?
Absolutely. Yeah, Eenie talked to us. So I'm going to be referencing some people that we've had on the podcast who have been influences in my swim progress as well as yours too. So Eenie Jones out of Boulder, she had us, one of the drills I did early on was the catch your keys. So as your, let's just say your right arm comes back and you're pulling and you're pushing the water back past your hip, you want to recover that arm as if you have keys in your hand and your keys are coming over and you're dropping them. They're coming out of your hand and you want to catch them before they hit the ground. So you're getting that quick arm turnover. So as the right arm is forward, the left arm needs to be back. As the left arm is forward, the right arm needs to be back. So you're reaching forward and reaching back.
Long.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So long
and strong. And you can even
strong.
Keep your thumb grazing your hips. That's a nice little cue. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go back to just the basics, like long, strong, and calm, some sort of mantra, right? And I've given this out to a few people now. People have asked us through Instagram and actually some of our athletes of any mantra you can focus on when swimming. Because there's a lot of things distracting you, especially when you get to race day. So there's this mantra that I used that really worked well for me. And it was just every time one arm hits the water, you say long, strong, and calm. So as your right arm comes over, you say long. As your left arm comes over, you say strong. And as your right arm comes back over, you say calm. And you just keep repeating that. And those are 3 pretty basic cues that will keep you focused and keep propelling you forward and not overly get caught up in everything you need to be thinking about in the water.
Yeah, it's like a mantra, right? So it helps to concentrate the mind and keep you out of the noise. I've used that for sure in times where it's gotten rough in the water, like back in the day of, mass starts and things or boulder stroke and stride on a Thursday night, like the roughest swims I've ever experienced. And I would use that as my mantra, and also to get ahead of the commentary that I could start to feel revving up that would throw me into some kind of idea that I couldn't breathe, or, that I was having a panic attack. Because we've all been there. It's a rite of passage, I think. Okay. Best drills and bread and vegan butter type of set. Like, what's just a go-to set?
A go-to set? Like just a regular swim set for triathletes?
Yeah, for triathletes.
I really dig the varying pace. So my jam right now is, let's just say, 7x50s at a 70% effort, 7x100s at an 80% effort, and then you do 4x100s at 95% effort.
So what does that look like in the grand scheme of a workout?
That's the main set. So that's the main set. So with all structured swims, you want to have a warm-up. You want to have some sort of drill slash focused area of attention in the pool. So kicking or pulling or both. And then you want to move into a pre-main set, which is just the kind of kicker, like get that heart rate going. And then you move into your main set, which sometimes doesn't come for 2,000 or 3,000 yards into the set, because that's when you're finally warmed up. You've got the groove going. You got the feel in the water, and then you let it rip, and then you do a short cool down.
Okay, so somebody who's not doing a 3,000 yard warm up.
Okay.
What would be that set start to finish? Like I'm asking you to give out a workout here.
Okay, so 500 yards, super easy warm up. Super easy. Or 10 minutes. Just get loose in the water, mostly freestyle. So triathlete swimmers, freestyle. Yes, it's great to do breaststroke and it's great to do butterfly, but we're talking with time-constrained triathletes. So let's get to that specificity. So 500 yards swim, easy, super easy, like really easy to warm up. And then go into maybe 10 times 50 as 25 easy, so you can have fins on. 25 easy, 25 strong. Rest for like 10 seconds. Then go 25 strong, 25 easy. So you're reversing them.
And you're doing that 10 times, so it's another 500. So now we're at 1,000.
So now we're at 1,000. So at this point, we can add in some really high, quality stuff and say, let's do 4 times 50 of 25 really, really super strong and 25 easy, 15 seconds rest. Do 4 of those. So now the heart rate's, pumping up a little bit. Then you can move into your main set.
Okay.
So main set would be what I described. So 7 times 50 at 70% effort on 10 seconds rest. Then go into 7x100 at 80% effort. So bumping it up a little bit on 10 seconds rest. Oof. 80% is not, it's probably like Ironman pace.
Yeah, it's 80% though.
And then you're going to go 4x100s at 95% with 45 seconds rest.
Nice.
So you're going hard, but you're getting a lot of rest.
Yeah.
And the other ones are short rest at lower intensities. And so what does 70, 80, 95% look like for a swimmer? Well, that's all, it all depends on your swimming. It all depends on how you feel when you're putting together times. What I find when athletes come to us and we work through this percentage is that it's too similar. So at 95, let's just use examples. A 70% pace would be at 140, let's just say. The 80% pace would be at 137, and then the 95% pace would be at 133. That's way too close, in my opinion. We need to spread that out a bit.
Okay, so what's ideal?
So here's something I use. Here's.
Well, let's do it based on that 140 again.
Okay,
so 140
so
is your 70.
is actually my 70%.
Okay.
80% would be around a 130, 128 pace. 95% would be at 115, 120 per 100.
Okay.
So now you've got some like 5 to 10 seconds of breathing room in there. So now you can really feel the shift in gears. And the same thing we talk about with running. When we talk about running, we need those extremes. We need to have contrast. So if you're always doing speed work at the same pace you're doing easy work, well, there's no variability. How do you expect to improve? And this is what you get caught. This is what we get caught up in because it gets comfortable. Oh, I know this is my time. I know this is, now you're asking me to go faster, but I'm comfortable with this time. So again, it goes back to the mindset, right? The mind is comfortable at a certain pace. We need to find that scary area where, you know, our heart rate is beating super fast and we're trying to catch that next breath. So then the easy swimming, and this is something Lucho, who was one of my first coaches, pointed out, is when you swim slow, you really get to see how your stroke stacks up to, you know, how good is alignment, how good is your pulling. Like the slowing down is where stuff happens, as Jerry would say. So the slowing down, and we don't want to slow down when we swim because it feels better when we swim fast, right? But that's why you need to slow down. You need to feel what it's like to wiggle the body. You're like, oh, so I'm wiggling the body when I'm swimming slower. How can I work on that? Again, bring awareness to tautness in the body, that long body.
Nice.
Yeah, this is really good stuff.
Okay, and so how do they finish this after the main set? What happens? Hot tub? Cool down?
If you're Jess, you're definitely going to hit the hot tub right away. I would add a little bit after that, like 4x25s with like the first 10 strokes are super hard.
Oh, I love that. I love that one.
First 10 strokes, super hard. You're like pulling water. And sometimes I don't breathe when I do these. I'm just like 10 strokes really, really hard.
Yeah, don't breathe.
And then
Not for
finish
that.
out the length of the pool nice and easy. Rest. It depends, 10, 20 seconds, whatever you want to do. And then repeat.
So do that 4 times.
Do that 4 times and then do a 200 cool down of choice.
Nice. Cool. That's a good set.
Yeah.
All right. Do it. Let us grilla. Do it. Let us know how you like it. I like it. Okay. Next question. This is from Mrs. Stephen Jarvis. Okay. Hello, Mrs. Stephen Jarvis. Safest way to get started.
Safest way to get started. Let's just reframe the question. Safest way to get started in triathlon swimming.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the safest way to get started? If you have the ability to have a coach nearby, definitely have some coach take a look at your stroke.
Yeah, that's going to be safe in saving you time of
Yes.
doing a lot of inefficient swimming.
If you don't have a coach nearby that you're confident in, that you have a relationship with, then get to the pool, set up a camera, have your significant other shoot it, ask the lifeguards, I've done this many times, have them hold your phone and record video of your swimming from the front, swimming from the back, and swimming from the side. And see how that stroke looks. Go back and look at it.
And you do coaching on demand, so this is something that somebody could
Sure, send in your video.
get a
Yep.
call with you
Yep.
for an hour. You can review the video and talk to them about it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So that's the safest way that's how you're going to start. And why do you want somebody to look at your stroke? Because when you start to swim and you just start doing workouts, you don't know if you're crossing over. And that was one thing I can share when I started swimming was I was having severe upper back, like this big knot in my back. And at that point you were a massage therapist, so you were able to work it out. And I strongly believe it was from crossing over. And so as I took more and more video, I was seeing like, wow, I'm really coming across that center line. So as soon as I started to stay wide, that thing went away.
You did. You were really guilty of crossing over. All right, cool. I like that. And then I would say for her too, just consistency. And you don't need to get in and do 2,000 yards. Like get in and start doing 500 consistent.
Somebody who's starting, it would be better to go 5 times to the pool for 15 to 20 minutes than it would be to go once or twice a week for an hour.
Yeah.
Consistency in the pool is what matters. Those touches in the water, the feel of the water. How much time do you spend in your day walking around. So walking and running is very familiar. How often are you actually in water? You're not. So you can't expect to show up in an unfamiliar environment and nail it. So yeah, get in the water. Get more touches in the water.
Okay, cool. All right, next question is from Vic, vegan trail runner. If you haven't listened to our pod with Vic, get back there. That was during our podcast frenzy up in Flagstaff. Thanks for sending this in, Vic. What is a solid hour-long swim workout for runners wanting to cross-train? I mean, an hour is relative, right? Like, what do you get? Some people can get 4,000 yards in an hour, and some people can get 2,000 yards in an hour. Why don't you give that one that you give to me? I love that one. I think, like, in its totality, it's around 3,000.
So about a 300 to 400 or 500 easy warm up in the pool, just swimming, moving the body. Then you're going to go into a 1,000-yard kick set. So get those fins on. And I really like the specific short blade fins. So you're not using the diver fins with a really extended toe area. So kicking with fins is great for runners because it opens up their ankles. Running really firms up that ankle so that there isn't a lot of flexion. So the kicking with fins actually adds a little bit of force and can loosen that up a little bit. So 1,000 yards kicking with fins, you could go 200 kicking with fins on your back with your arms over your head, flutter kicking, or you can put the snorkel on and with a kickboard and look down. So either or for 200, and then you would swim 200, keeping the fins on. And then you just work your way down 150, 150, 100, 100, 50, 50. And that's all continuous. So you don't need to take a rest in between there. And then you get to some vertical kicking, and this is a great exercise that again allows you to have that long, strong body. So literally you're standing up in the pool, and you can bring your hands up over the top of the water. Or if you're having trouble balancing, you can keep them down by your side and use them at like egg beaters. But you want your legs to be straight and your toes to be pointed down, and you're going to scissor kick back and forth. And you can do that for 30 seconds. And then you're going to rest for 30 seconds. And so just repeat that 6 times. Super easy. And then we're going to go into some pulling. So this gives the runners some upper body strength, and it allows their legs to take a break. So you put the eenie buoy in between your legs. You can use a band around your ankles or not, or you can keep it off. And you're going to do a pull set of 4x200s, let's just say. So that's another 800 yards right there. And you can use the snorkel on this one as well. And you're pulling, so you're really using the upper body for strength and letting the legs float behind and engaging the core. This is going to keep everything strong. As runners, we can always use core strength, even if you are working it. And then you can swim nice and easy at the end, 300, just a nice easy swim. So you're using everything that you just worked, like the focus on the ankles, the kicking, the pulling, and now you just swim, and it should feel really good.
I like to throw in, I want to add to that before the cool down, throw in the 8 times 25. Like
with
8
the 10
times,
strokes hard?
No, yeah, 10 strokes hard. Yeah, I like that.
Or just 8x25 swim, you're saying?
Or 8x25 on 30 seconds. So strong on 30 seconds. Or 8 times 25, first 10 strokes, just all out, super strong. And then cruise to the finish. Rest for about 10 seconds and do that again. Do that 8 times. That's another 200.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's really great for runners. And for runners, like pull jogging too. Pull jogging. If you are incorporating pull jogging into your program, you're at the pool, adding a little bit of that vertical kicking, maybe some kicking with the fins.
Yeah. And really if you want to extend this workout, throw in 20 minutes of pool jogging at the end of this.
Oh, right. Yeah. That
would be amazing. So this is what we've got on the website right now, you guys. We've been seeing this need for swim workouts for runners, but they're not necessarily getting coached as a swimmer. So what we've done is BJ's created 5 different length workouts, It's under yogitriathlete.com/shop, and you can buy that workout plan and you can put that into your training. So you've got this one here that we described on the show. So write that one down, and then you can get 5 more. So you'll have 6 workouts that you can do as cross training. And I would say, 2 times a week, getting in the pool ideally.
And one of those should be right after your long run.
Yeah. So there's shorter workouts there all the way to 3,000 yards. So something for everyone. And great way to gain fitness and get recovery and stay out there on the trails or the road if you're a road runner. All right. That's going to be awesome, babe. I'm psyched that people have this access to this now. Okay. Next question from the Jessie Lee. Is breaststroke an acceptable stroke for triathlon? It's the only one I'm relatively good at.
I'm shaking my head. No.
No, it's not.
No. It's if you're getting into triathlon, you really need to learn freestyle. And it's going to propel you faster through the water, and it may be uncomfortable at first. I think breaststroke will get you by, but you can anticipate a really, really long swim, and it's going to take a lot of energy. So the most efficient stroke is freestyle for triathletes. So, take the plunge. Like if you're already comfortable in the water, you're doing breaststroke, then just take some time and learn freestyle.
Yeah, listen, just because you're relatively good at breaststroke doesn't mean that you won't kick ass at freestyle. If we just look at what we know already in our lives and what we're relatively good at in our lives and we stay there, we're missing the purpose of being on this earth. We're really here to live the edge. We're really, really here, always on the edge, never hold back. So I agree with BJ. If you're going to be a triathlete or you're going to further your hobby or profession as a triathlete, you gotta get in the game. And the swim is just, it's the best part of the day. We always used to say that. It's the best part of the day. It's the
shortest part of the day. It's the coldest part of the day, the coolest part. So if you had a hot race, it's the coolest part of your day. But, she's relatively good at breaststroke, then she can be relatively good at anything she does. She's proven to herself she can apply it to breaststroking, right? So this is the selective use of the skill?
Well, we're assuming that the Jessie Lee is a woman. It could be a man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I as previously known as Jessie in 8th grade, when Jessie's Girl came out, I got a lot of crap about Jessie being a boy's name.
Him or her.
I'm still mad about that. That's what our meditation teacher would say. Go, oh, you're still mad about that, huh? I love, a little side note here. I had this big aha moment, transformative experience a couple weeks ago, and it brought me all the way back to when I was 3 years old and my family left me in Disney World, and I realized it was that moment that I started this narrative that, I've got to do everything by myself in this life. And I thought it was so meaningful, and the mind loved it. I had finally figured it out, and the source of this narrative that I watch really closely in my life. And Bob goes, still mad about that, huh?
He gives it no attention.
It's just so funny because we carry these stories, and they're just stories. And how much they are who we are in this life is up to us. And the mind loves drama, and it really wanted applause for figuring all that out. And I didn't get any. I don't get any applause from my meditation teacher or my strength and conditioning coach, Dr. Dave. You tell him a story,
just shakes his head.
he just looks at you.
Or he doesn't even shake his head. Yeah, he's just all right. Foam rolling, sure.
Thanks for sharing. We'll file that in the nonfiction section of the library. Okay, I think we got all the questions, but I want to add one more question to that, because you do a lot of video analysis. We included that, and we're going to do it again this year because I think it's helpful, or next year. I think it's helpful, is video analysis of swim and run. So my question to you is, what do you most often see? And I'm talking specifically about triathletes. What do you most often see when someone sends you video or you're in the pool with an athlete? What are the things that you just most often see as their opportunities for where, speed is hiding, where efficiency is hiding, where up level is hiding because of this opportunity that they're in.
Well, the biggest one I see, the number one thing I see is overkicking. So someone new to swimming is kicking way too hard. And I was one of those people. And I feel that they're overkicking because for most new triathletes that are in the water, they want to keep moving, right? Because otherwise you're going to float, right? You're going to float and you're not really moving anywhere if you don't do anything. But they want to move forward. And so you get into that whole hurried environment of swinging the arms and then kicking the legs, and then it becomes this chaotic sort of thrashing around in the water. And it's no wonder that you're out of breath, right? So let's just add to the fear of being in an unfamiliar environment and not being able to catch your breath. So a lot of that has to do with just kicking way too hard. It's going to elevate your heart rate very quickly, and it's going to make you gasp for breath. So that's why pulling, getting the ability of putting that pull buoy between your legs and just letting them float and not kicking is a good transition period. Also using fins. So overkicking is a big piece of the puzzle, especially when swimmers come to me and they say, I'm out of breath. I think that's the number one thing to address to allow them to get more oxygen in their system, which then brings calm, right? More oxygen. You know that you're not panicky for breath. You're going to have the breath that you need if you just stop kicking as hard.
And then combined with that, what do you see with breathing?
Great question. So people will then start to breathe every 4 or more strokes. So they're taking that long approach where they're just going to keep their head down and they're going to take a few strokes because they've probably seen it on the Olympics or in a pool swimmer. So that's not ideal for triathlon swimming. So normally you're in choppy water. So you're not in a pool. You're not in the nice, pristine, calm waters of a pool. You don't get to see the bottom center line. You don't have lane lines keeping you in. Like this is a new environment. So you need to keep your head up. You need to be breathing every 2 strokes to get the oxygen to fuel your body. And it's the only way to help propel you forward. And you want to be able to see where you're going forward. So you need to be able to look up and catch that breath, look, and then get into your next stroke. So when your head is down, you're going to most likely, for more than 4 to 6 strokes, you're probably going to go off course a little bit. So that's one thing I see. So take breaths quicker.
And I would say that translates to runners too. So like Vic is going to take this workout, he's going to go to the pool and he's going to do this 500 warm up. Breathe every stroke. And then, breathe on one side going down, turn around, breathe to the other side. Because you do want to breathe to both sides, but that doesn't mean that you have to do bilateral breathing. And that translates to so much, I think, balance in the body, being able to breathe to both sides. There's going to be one side that's more comfortable than the other, but that doesn't mean that you should only breathe to the side that's comfortable. In fact, it's more evidence that you should breathe to both sides and get comfortable on both sides to regain whatever the balance is that's off in the body.
And on race day, on
race day, because
being able to look left or right at the swimmers around you. Also, where does the sun come up? You want to be able to swim. You just don't want that to be a limiting factor to your performance.
No way. I can't tell you how many times over 13 years that I went to go get a breath and I either had like an elbow or just a huge gulp of water come into my mouth during a race. And it was like, okay, I got to get to the other side and I got to breathe on the other side. So you can never count on getting that breath. Now you mentioned you were talking about racing and lifting your head. So sighting for triathlon swimming. When do they start doing this in their training leading up to races?
Yeah, I would say 8 to 10 weeks out from your A race, you want to start incorporating the sighting, and that's just looking up. And this goes back to the story I was going to share.
Oh, cool.
When I was at the pool, at Alga, leading into Alga Norte, the pool here in Carlsbad. My favorite pool, if you haven't been watching our Instagram account. And it was leading into Indian Wells, 70.3. And I was at the pool and I was doing this workout that included deck ups, which is part of the Tower 26 program, where you pull yourself up out of the pool, you wait there for 10 seconds, or you do jumping jacks, it gets the heart rate up, and then you jump back in and you do 100. And there's many variations of using deck ups and sighting, but that's just one example. So I was doing this workout and I was sighting. So sighting is every few strokes, you lift your head up to look, just lift your head up just slightly so that you can see ahead of you. And then you go back into your stroke. So you don't want a breaststroke. It's all seamless. So as your arm goes back, you're going to, on the recovery, whatever arm it is that you're going to breathe next to, on the recovery, as you bring that arm back and forward, you're going to look up just slightly and then come back into your stroke. So let's say you're breathing to the left. You're going to take your left arm back. You look up to the side. You take a breath. You look up to sight. Your left arm's coming forward. And then you come back down. Put the head in the water. So it's that motion of continually looking up. And I do it in the pool. I'll do it 1 time per 25. I'll do it 2 times per 25. I'll go up to 3 times per 25 to really incorporate that ability to propel myself forward and keep straight. Because that's the most important thing, is to keep straight in triathlon. So this story, I was doing this said set in the pool, and I was breathing, I think it was a variation of a set. So I was breathing 1 time per 25 on one set, and then moving into 2 times 25. And then I think I was doing some short 50s where it was 3 times breathing. And I got to get into the pool during one of the rest periods, like in the block. And the guy next to me, I noticed that he was watching me. He was an older gentleman, and he was so kind to offer up some tips. He's like, "Do you mind if I share some observations with you?" And he went on to say that he has been swimming, for a long time. He used to swim in college, and he's part of the master's program, and he swims 2 to 3 times a week with them. And he noticed that every few strokes that I would lift my head and go forward. And he said, you can save a lot of time just by continually breathing to the side. And I shared with him, I said, thank you, of course, because, people like to give advice in the pool. But I shared with him how familiar he was with triathlon swimming, and he was not familiar at all with triathlon swimming. And so I went on to explain to him that the reason why I do that, lift the head, is so that I can sight and see, because in open water, we don't have the ability to stare down at the black line, or to see, or to have the lane lines on either side, or to have crystal clear water. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I don't know triathlon. I don't run triathlon." So this leads to another point of, when you're starting to swim and you go to the pool, be careful who you seek advice from. So there's many people that will share advice. There's the guy like this that will share his master swimming advice. There's the professional athlete or professional swimmer at one point, or elite college swimmer that will share his advice. And that's great, because for what they do, that's amazing. Like, that's amazing that they'll share that. But for triathlon swimming, it's a very specific skill. I strongly believe in this. I didn't have a really good big breakthrough in my personal career until I grasped the concept that triathlon swimming is different than pool swimming. And that just clearly blew up a lot of things that I believed in. And my times have continually been getting better. But I also feel more comfortable in the water. I feel more powerful in the water. So these are things that I'm sharing with you all that are specific, very specific for triathlon swimming. So when you seek advice and people share information and their perspective, that's just what it is. It's based on their experience. So align yourself with the feedback that most resonates with you of where you want to go. So if you want to be a triathlon swimmer, start getting curious about triathlon swimming. I've done the master's route. I did that in Boulder when we lived there, and that was great. That got me to another level. but it still wasn't specific to the sport of triathlon. And in the sport of triathlon, I want to be a really good triathlete. I don't want to be a pool swimmer. So yes, I swim a lot in the pool, but what I do in the pool is very specific to triathlon. It's taken me a long way to get here. Long route, but I firmly believe this is the way.
I love how you described that. So when you reframed swimming as swimming for triathlon and not pool swimming, that was a big jump for you. Like that's when things started to turn. What was another turning point?
Another turning point.
I feel like you have turning points like all the time
know.
right now. But what was another turning point?
I think using the swim bands.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
That was I was just thinking, I'm like, there was something else I wanted to ask about. Okay, so swim bands. Let's talk about swim bands.
Swim bands are really important. I do them before my swims, and I do them when I don't get to the pool. I'll do them at home here. I loop it up against the front door and get in my band work. It's the Jerry calls it the grip it and rip it. So you grip the water and then you rip it back. And to get that feeling or that sensation of what that feels like, the bands, the swim bands, using those before you get into the pool really activates your lats. And it gives you that feel of that pull back we were talking about before. So you do the swim bands before you start your swim workout, you jump in the pool, and right away you're going to feel your lats activated and you're going to be able to pull that water back. So for me, that was a big component of my advancement in, bringing my swim times down. So the key with that, though, is you have to consistently do swim bands.
And if you're on Team Yogi Triathlete, you better believe you're doing it.
You are absolutely doing swim bands.
Is everybody doing it? You don't have to name names. Is
No.
everybody doing it? What?
Nope. Not everybody's doing it.
The people who are doing it, are they also consistent with their workouts in general? Like,
Yes.
do you see a pattern?
Yes.
Like, if they're dropping the swim bands, there's also an inconsistency in training period
Yes.
across the board.
Yep.
So consistency is consistency.
Consistency is really the jam.
Yeah. How would somebody start? So like our friend here who wants to know like the safest way to get started and, the going from being a breaststroker to the freestyler, which was another person that sent in a question. Where would they start with these swim bands? Like how many sets? Like what?
Just 3 by 10.
3 by 10.
Mm-hmm. Just get the feel for it.
Grip it and rip it.
So we did this at training camp. I had everybody line up and they were using the swim bands, and I could see how I have a video that I share with them all that I've set up, but some of them were not engaged. Like there's things that you can engage, like engage your core. You want to give some slack to the bands. You don't want them to be super, super taut. Like you can Google Andy Potts and you're going to see a miraculous demonstration of how to use swim bands, but he is an Olympic swimmer turned triathlete. So we're not all built like that. His flexibility is amazing. So we want to have a little bit of flexion so that the bands are a little bit loose, and then we want to rip it back, and then we want to recover and do it again and again and again. And what I find is start with less. So less is more. So start with just 10. Because if you're trying to go longer without the ability of the body to keep that tautness and strength of the arm coming back, then you're just going through the motion. You're doing what we talk about in a lot of podcasts is checking the box. You're just getting it done. Okay, it's done. No, you really want to feel what that power is like so that when you get into the water, you can feel what it's like to pull the water back. And yes, over time, you're probably going to, decrease your pulling by, 10, 15%, 20% as the set progresses because you can get fatigued. But the more you do the bands, the longer you'll be able to go through these swim sets when you get in the pool and still have the ability to pull water.
I love it. This was an awesome episode, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah. What was it? I think there was something else open water swimming helped me out at Mount Tremblant.
Oh.
That was a game changer too. Mm-hmm. Just getting in the open water. And that's something, if you want to talk about mindfulness, right?
No, I don't ever want to talk
I know
about
you always want to talk
mindfulness.
about mindfulness. It's just something I knew I needed to get, like, to add to my repertoire, but I just kept ignoring it until I finally
How
decided.
does that work? How does that ignoring technique work?
Oh, it's horrible. It just keeps building up like negative energy, and it just keeps you small. Keeps you small.
Gross.
Doesn't let you move,
Ew.
advance. Yeah.
Ew.
So when I started swimming in the open water, I really had a breakthrough. So swimming in the wetsuit a lot really helped. So yeah,
What was your swim time at Mount Tremont?
102.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's it going to be this year?
58:30.
Nice. 58:32.
58:30.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Any final words to get people just encouraged to get into the water, like swimming?
Yeah, so you're already at a disadvantage because pools are challenging to access. So lane schedules and drop-in fees and driving to the pool and cold water and just the logistics of getting to the pool as a triathlete. Like, that's, in my experience, has been a big obstacle. So set yourself up for success. Check out the pool schedule. Number one. Check out multiple pool schedules in your area. Just don't look at one. Have a few options that you can go to. Pack your bag. Get everything ready the night before. Put the bag in your car even and just leave it there. So if you think you may have time after work, you already have your bag with you. Put in goggles, swim cap, and all your pool toys. But also, you want to put in some fuel. So if you don't have, you miss an afternoon snack, you miss morning breakfast, you have something, a banana, a bar, or a gel, just something that you can snack on. Always have that ready in your bag, and always have a workout ready. Just write something down on a piece of paper and stick it in your bag so that you always have a purpose when you go to the pool. If you don't have a workout and you're just floating around, there's no purpose. You're really not getting much done. You're not making any advancement in the pool. So really have a purpose. That's important. And I think mindfulness is really key. At camp, we had the athletes, runners too. I collected all their watches. So they couldn't use their watch in the pool. They had to look at the pool clock. So get knowledgeable about using a pool clock. It creates and strengthens your ability to be present. That's the number one goal of using the pool clock. I'm not taking these watches away because I enjoy doing it, although it was fun to see their faces. But it gets you to be present. How many yards are you swimming? What length of pool are you in now? Do you count your 300 yards by 50s or by 100s or by 25s? Like, get curious about all this stuff. It's really bringing all your focus and attention to the moment. And when you find yourself slipping away, you're doing sets and you get to the end of the pool and you don't know how much you did, your mind has wandered, great, go do it again. This is how I would work through challenges like that. If I hold myself accountable, if I can't remember how many I did, I go do it again and I make sure I get it in. And of course that's more yardage, but that was the penalty, I guess you can call it, for making me more present. Because presence in the pool, that is, I know we talked about a lot of things here about swimming, but presence is the only time that you can give all of yourself. If your mind's wandering, if your mind's worried about fear, it's worried about the breath, it's worried about your kick, then you're not present.
No, because worry is never about now. We are never worried about now. We are worried about what may happen next. Worry is always in the future. And peace and patience and skill, mastery is in the present moment. That's where you've got everything available. And anything that takes you out of the present moment lessens your degree of mastery. That's that. Thank you. That was an awesome episode. You guys get over runners, yogitriathlete.com/shop. Go get yourself 5 workouts, swim workouts. Throw those in once, twice a week. I'm telling you, it's amazing. I'm loving it. And also trucker hats, beanie hats, and some sweet swag, and other merch. So check it out.